Butler.
BBC Radio Merseyside.
Welcome back. It's the Billy Butler Show between now and 5 o'clock. Stand by for my guest, Anthony Peake. So Anthony's in today with a film crew. So I presume this is for the next series of The Walking Dead, is it?
Yeah, that's the way we look at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. The way the rain has been coming down today, and sort of what's left of my hair.
Well, tell us about it. Why are you becoming a film star?
Well, what is happening is associates of mine, guys from a film organisation called Logic Reality, and they are doing a short film on me and my life and what I'm doing. So they've been filming me in radio studios, doing my lectures, doing my talks, and my Walker group in Liverpool as well. So it's a general idea of what it is to be me, as it were. And we did a 2-hour interview. I was interviewed by Margie Clark for 2 hours a couple of weeks ago as well. A lovely, lovely summer day at the back of our house. We have this nice conservatory and the weather was really nice. So we did a short film there, and Margie was interviewing me about my work and everything else. Because there's a lot of interest in my work now, and what we're thinking is branching out to get more people to understand it, and because there's more people becoming involved in it, like the guys from Logic Reality as well. And there's a lot of linking between my work and a lot of the work they're doing. I mean, for instance, the thing I want to talk about today, I was quite surprised, links into some of the work that David Icke is doing. I was quite surprised with this, that a lot of David's work really has a lot of synergy with my own.
David's a figure of ridicule in many, many parts, isn't he? Is he now getting some of his views that were outlandish years ago and now being looked at differently?
It seems to be the case, yeah, that what is happening with David now is that an awful lot of the supporting material, if we talk about the lizards and everything else, that's the areas that people have problems with. Yeah. But if you start to look at what he's talking about the nature of reality, how consciousness works, it's very much overlapping with a good deal of my work. I mean, David goes more extremes in certain areas than I do. I tend to be far more scientifically based in what I do.
Is he a listener?
I'm told, yes, he is, very much so. So we shall see how that goes. But I think it's rather the areas of overlap I'm interested in, because there's areas that he's pursuing. And the reason I wanted to, particularly today, I wanted to talk about a very, very strange phenomenon that happened to me a few weeks ago. Well, no, it was actually last Tuesday night. And I was lying in bed and I woke up in the middle of the night, which is unusual because my wife's actually away at the moment, so therefore you're on your own, so you tend to wake up at odd times. Yeah. And I woke up around about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I could hear Morse code in my head, real distinct, super fast Morse code. And I thought, this is really odd. So I got up and I looked out the window and I thought, is it coming from outside? And it wasn't. Then I went downstairs, and as I was going downstairs, I realised it was inside my head. And it was most distinct because it was absolute, and it was going on and on and on. I got back to bed, and then I suddenly, the way sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night, you suddenly remember that this happened before. And it's happened regularly to me, but I've normally gone back to sleep and I've forgotten it. But this time round, because I was wide awake, I could hear it. And it continued, and I thought, is this going to continue all the time? And then at 4:15, it just stopped. And I thought to myself, what on earth was that? So the next day I was so fascinated by this that I looked on the web to try and find out if there was more material about this. And I discovered that there's a lady called Sharon Barrett Kennedy, and she has a website where she has a questionnaire of people who hear Morse code in the middle of the night. And I suddenly found that it links in with a lot of other interesting phenomena, and some of the areas that David Icke talks about. And this is why David's work is starting to intrigue me, because there is a program called the HAARP program, which is the High Frequency Active Aurora Research Program in Alaska. And apparently this is an amazing system. They have a huge array of antennae sending out very, very low frequency and high frequency electromagnetic waves into the atmosphere, into the troposphere. And the principle is that they can use this to bounce waves around the Earth. Now, the argument is that they're using it to communicate with satellites. But there is counter-arguments to say that this...
Or aliens.
Or aliens. But there is a counter-argument to say that what this is, it's a kind of a ground... It's a development on Star Wars. And they're actually using it as a defence thing, because they're actually thinking about using these as a kind of form of weapons. And if you check up on the web about HAARP, it's intriguing, because there's lots of YouTube things about it, and there's lots of talking heads that clearly are very, very expert in this area. And they're saying that this can manipulate even people's thoughts, because, as you know, the brain itself resonates with certain frequencies. I mean, for instance, when we are when we're thinking, it's 13 to 14 cycles per second within the brain. And then when we go to sleep, it goes down to about 4 cycles. But these thoughts can be affected by electromagnetic waves. Because actually, when you think about it, we are electromagnetic creatures in the sense that, there's electromagnetic waves that sort of focus in on the brain and the heart. So clearly, these waves can affect the way we think. Now, what I thought was interesting was that on that night, what was I picking up there? Now, I've heard stories that people can pick up radio signals in their teeth. I don't know if you've heard this, but and you hear something like that. And I thought, is there something resonating? I then found that there is a HAARP in Norway. And funnily enough, on December the 9th, 2009, there was something called the blue spiral that was seen over northern Norway. And it was put down to a UFO type thing. There was this huge blue light in the sky. It was reported in a lot of the press. What I've actually found out is that there was a project going on at that time called Project Tequila Sunrise. And this was, again, where they were working with these particular pulses. So they think that this was linked in some way with this.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a moment, Anthony. We've got to take the travel.